it's kind of like, I look at it as like the force equation. Force is equal to mass times acceleration. And it's like that force, which is financial freedom, F, you have to have a mass and you have to have the acceleration. I look at it as like the acceleration is the time and the mass is the energy.
Right.
So it's like you have to have both of those combined to really get you that financial freedom.
The more mass I put in, the faster I get to that F is financial freedom.
Yep.
The time can stay the same. Financial freedom is a number. That's the key thing. So that just means that you need two things in order to get there. You need to have energy and you need to have time.
Yeah.
And so that means the more energy I give, the less time it may take.
Right.
And then vice versa. The less energy I give, the more time it's going to take. So we were at 2 years. That's giving 10% energy, 50% energy. If we lock in and just say 100% energy on this one thing, financial freedom, the end goal gets achieved faster.
Yo, you're listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. It's about time that we invest more in our financial literacy and work towards building generational wealth. If you think you're ready to do the same, then you've come to the right place. Alex, Marlon, y'all ready? Let's get this bread.
What's good, everybody? It's Alex Queen here. We are back with episode 143 of the Money Monopolizers podcast, and I'm here with my co-host, Marlon Walls. Marlon, how you doing today, bro?
Doing all right, man. I'm starting to lose track of the episode numbers, I swear. Dang, it is 143. Like, we just rolling through them. But no, everything's going good for me, to be honest. I just be really like thinking about how the day-to-day of our business is going. And like, I swear the month of July and August, I swear we have like 5 cars down, like at all times. There's always one going down after another. Like, we got stories for days of like how they're going down. Like one of them was actually like somebody took it over to the border of Texas and was trying to smuggle people in.
Border of Mexico and Texas.
Yes.
Oh wow.
They took it over like the Rio Grande area, and then it was actually pulled over, and then like it was one of our partner vehicles. They came, they had called me and said, "Hey, was the car reported stolen?" I was like, "No, the car was stolen like 2 months ago. It's good now." He said, "Oh no, the police on the phone with me right now. I'm gonna merge you over." And the dude was like, "Yeah, we just pulled this car over because it has like 6 passengers in it, and they were being smuggled from Mexico." Wow! So that was one of our 5 different stories that's happened like in the past couple of weeks, as far as cars going in and out of the body shops and stuff. So, but everything honestly is still going well though, because we actually have a lot more cars coming in that we plan on bringing in very soon. Me and my dad being in the rental car business, so everything's going good for me overall.
So they literally, did they go across the border or were they just at the border?
Again, the good thing is that we have GPS trackers in our car. So I was actually able to like give the officer like all of the data points of like where the car had stopped at all times. It never went across the border. Oh, okay. It was actually like at one of the stations, like where they would like transport people in and out, or people would come in from one side to the other.
Right.
And so like I was able to track all of that through our GPS tracker.
Dang, that's crazy. You literally can have so many different types of stories. Bro, in that business, there's no limit to, like I said, everyone's experience is different.
Everyone's experience is different. Every car is going to have a different experience too. So you can't even write this. You can't make this up because everything is going to be different. So I'm just glad to go through the experiences and see how we have mitigated our risk of like really having to like go through a loss, because we know to have GPS trackers in our cars so we can find the cars quickly, and then we also have like all the right insurance information. We have all the right documentation to where we can talk to the police and we can get things situated pretty quickly. Right. So that's really the thing, is that problems are going to come up in the business. You just need to know how to solve them when they come up. Yeah. And it's just part of the business. You just know that comes with the territory.
Yeah. Right. I mean, you can create a blueprint off of that.
I mean, that's just one of many stories, like I said. And and by doing this business for so long, we've just seen one thing after another that we know how to solve now. So well, we never actually experienced that before, but we already had systems in place to handle it because we've actually heard other people go through that. Right. So it's just that we just know what to do when times like that happen. Yeah, man. That's why it's like, so that's why people really need to know what, they're getting into, as far as like, is this something I think we talked about it a couple episodes about dealing with these types of problems. Like, are these the type of problems you want to deal with and things like that? And I think that's kind of what we're going to get into today, similar to that, as far as, today's topic. But no, that's good, man. I think
So many different stories, but
What about you? How's everything going? Life, business, whatever?
everything's great. I can't complain at all. It's just, I'm blessed to just be alive, be breathing, and to continue to be able to pursue financial freedom every single day, and just really be on this journey at this time in our lives. I'm so grateful, and it's I always just try to sit back and just reflect and just really just look how far we come, and then also just look how much further we have to go. And that always just keeps me grounded, knowing it's like, yo, you haven't really got to where you want to get to. You've done a lot, but you haven't really got anywhere. So I just be thinking about stuff like that a lot. But other than that, things have been going well for me as far as business. Everything's been smooth there, and just really focus on getting things set up for next year at this point now, because the year is just flying by. So.
Yeah, but I was just thinking, I really started reflecting. I always do a lot of my thinking in the shower. And one of my reflection moments, I was just thanking God for what we have been through, but also remembering that I've heard even a quote before. People say, a little success is the number one enemy of a lot of success.
Right.
Because a lot of people will start experiencing just a tad bit of success. Like they may go from making $1,000 months to $10,000 months. So now they get complacent. Yeah. And so or they may even get arrogant and be like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. I'm doing a thing now. But you making $10,000 a month is going to be the exact enemy that stops you from making $50,000 or $100,000 a month. Yeah, man. And so you have to really stay grounded and continue to work and understand that what got you here is not going to necessarily get you to that next level. You have to continue to innovate, continue to find new resources that's going to help you keep on elevating.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of this all, though, because I just truly enjoy this journey, because it's like something that it's going to set you up for the rest of your life. And once you get to that point, that you're there, there's nothing else. You're there. Once you get to a point where you feel satisfied, which, I think everyone should get to a point where you feel satisfied, especially on this journey where it's like, all right, I'm cool. I don't need to keep going. Because what's the point if you just want to keep going? If that's what you like, then cool. If you genuinely enjoy that, cool. But I want to get to a point where I'm satisfied, content with where I'm at. And I think that everything we go through now and every day, it's all a part of building that timeline, building that story, building that process to, at one point you will have a story, right? And, and you're formulating that story every single day. And I don't know, I just always try to think man, this is just to being able to focus on this and work on this there's nothing better in the world. This is the ultimate. If there's, I wouldn't rather be doing anything else. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing than to just be on this, financial freedom journey. I mean, just obviously, if I was, 6'8", 205 pounds, 250 pounds, I'd rather be in the NBA. But that's not that wasn't what I was blessed with. So you take what you got and you work with it. That's it, man. Yeah, man. But yeah, things been good. So what we want to do is really get into the episode for this week. I think we had a pretty good topic lined up for y'all. One thing that we were kind of just, going off of what I was saying a few minutes ago about how a lot of times, there's a lot of that story, for instance, in your business, talking about, smuggling, your car gets, stolen or whatever. And that people are smuggling people over the border. That is something that if you're in business, you have to deal with something like that. That's right. And, I have so many different types of stories in my business. Every business has different stories. Everybody's going to have different experiences. But one thing you can't discount, one thing that is going to be constant is you're going to have some sort of experience. You're going to have some sort of difficulty. You're going to have some sort of thing that's you haven't prepared for. You don't know how to handle something, regardless of what you do. So what we really wanted to talk about in this episode was knowing how to pick a financial freedom journey, right? Or a financial freedom vehicle. And knowing if what you're doing, what you want to do is the right thing for you specifically, right? Because a lot of times what happens is a lot of people listen to our podcast. A lot of people listen to a lot of different podcasts and shows and consume all this content on social media and YouTube and everywhere. And you can get inundated with all these different ways to, make money, achieve financial freedom, and become wealthy that, some people you generally don't even know if what you're doing is what you're supposed to be doing. You're just doing it because you saw someone else do it, right? There's countless number of people that had listened to our podcast that have started businesses similar to ours
Facts.
because solely based off the fact that we are doing it. Right. And I don't necessarily believe that's the right thing. I'm not saying it's wrong. Like, it is what it is. Do what you are going to do. But generally, you know, financial freedom is it's like personal finance. It's a personal journey. Right. And everyone is going to have a different experience. Everyone's, you know, going to be able to do well at different things. Right. Just because we do well in what we do doesn't necessarily mean it should be what you should be doing. And I think that's something a lot of people miss, just because a lot of people come into this with the employee kind of mindset where, you know, you're just kind of doing what someone ahead of you or above you tells you to do. You're doing what they tell you to do, right? And you're not necessarily doing what you think is going to be the best thing for you, right? And I know you just have to try different things to kind of learn what the best thing for you is going to be. But at the same time, at some point you have to be real with yourself and just knowing like, yo, is this the actual thing I should be doing? Should I be, you know, starting this cleaning business? Should I be doing this rental car business? Is this really what I want to do? Or am I only doing it just because I see them doing? Or should I be buying these rental properties? Or should I be doing this because this is what I actually want to do? Or because I just see someone else doing it? All right. So I kind of wanted to kick this conversation off just by kind of knowing how to figure out what you should be doing, right? Because there's a process to that, right? And I can just say how I did it in the sense of like, for me, me personally, you know, you start where you are, right? And that at the end of the day, the number one thing is taking action. And I don't want to get this confused with like not doing something because you're not sure if you should be doing it. Worst case scenario, you just do it. Like, just do something, right? If you think that, you know, this is something that you want to do or you want to try, then, you know, just do it, because it's even worse to not take action. It's even worse to not do anything. So I want to set that clear first. I'm not saying not to do anything. I'm just saying to really think about, is this something that will be suitable for you and your personality and your temperament, right? And in just to give that more context, right? So in my kind of experience, in my journey, it's been, I started with real estate, and that was like the thing that was what I knew at that time. I only knew real estate. I only knew about rental properties, apartments, things like that. I only knew that. So that's what I did. And then I learned, you can, use business. So I tried, all these different businesses, trucking business, rental car business, cleaning business, all these different things that I was able to experience and kind of get a feel for, to figure out, is business for me, right? And I tried that. Also tried, trading in the stock market a couple years ago. That was something, I was able to get some experience with as well. And so all these different things kind of gave me a baseline to know what fits best with my temperament, right? And what kind of fits best with my style. Because there's so many different ways to make money. There's so many different ways to achieve financial freedom. There's so many different businesses that you can start and get into, and assets you can invest in that can make you income and things like that. But at the all money, I don't want to say all money ain't good money, because all money is, depends how you look at it. But all money is going to be money that can get you to financial freedom. So I don't want to say that it's not good to do something, but you just got to know, like, is it aligned with what you are, or what you kind of want to do in your life?
I'm gonna echo a lot of what you said, because as you were telling the story, I started thinking back to how we first got started with real estate, and I wonder if how we would do things differently. I know we've talked about that before in the past, but in regards to finding the right information about what matches us, because now we actually know that there was multiple different things that we could have pursued. Because you did mention the fact that real estate was the only thing that you knew at one time, but that's the only thing we both knew. That's why we pursued it, because we just thought that was the only vehicle for financial freedom. And so I think the first step will be identifying what I think we did this first step, was identifying what your goal is. Like, we knew our goal was to achieve financial freedom. We didn't have we had a numerical picture of it, and it just so happens that the vehicle of real estate was going to help us achieve the time freedom piece along with it. Because I think one of my big goals that I started realizing as we started doing different like the business ventures and stuff, was the time freedom piece that it may give you in the beginning. And I think that was something that kind of shaped my opinion, or not even just the business, really just like in like the coaching and consulting space, especially the time freedom piece that you may have along that route. So I learned that one of my biggest goals was time freedom. And by knowing that, that's what kind of helped me understand the importance of this conversation.
Yeah.
Because now you have to identify what is your goal. Is your goal financial freedom, but you don't mind working all the time for, like, you may have to continue to show up. Like, you just don't want to work for somebody else. You want to work for yourself. That could be a goal. Or is it that you want to have time freedom where you don't have to, like, you make money whether you work for it or not, and you can just travel the world. Like, your goal may be traveling. So I think the number one step is identifying that goal. And then after that, now you start seeking out what vehicles are available. Because I think we found real estate and said, okay, I know matter of fact, I wanted to ask that. I remember you found real estate first. How did you find it? Just like searching?
Yeah, in December. This was in my last year of college.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I already had like a kind of affiliation with real estate because I would watch the flipping shows. But so I always knew, like, dang, you can make a lot of money. But in my last year in college, I specifically searched, how do people get rich,
right,
and things like that. And real estate was the thing that kept popping up. Then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad that year, and he used real estate as
he mentioned
example.
real estate many times in there.
Yeah, and that's when it kind of assured me, was like, hey, cool, real estate is the way to go to get financial freedom.
Okay, so yeah, so you, by searching like how to make money or how to get rich, you start seeing different options. I think real estate was one that may stick out, but at the same time, you probably if we had kept our eyes open to see everything at the same time, we may have actually picked something different,
right? Because
now you start really diving in. So now you do an assessment. Okay, if I do real estate, this is the pattern. Like, this is what I'm seeing, or this is the people, like the mentors in this space, they're what's their conversation like? Like, are they continuously going out and like actually being active in their business? And then now ask the follow-up question that you want to ask is what they're doing aligned with what I want my life to look like?
Right.
And so, like, is that aligned with my goal? Because everything should be dictated based off that initial goal that you have. Are they saying things like, I'm making income from all these doors and I'm not doing anything to work for them? Or are they saying, I'm going live every day and I'm making money because I'm going live and things like that? I'm continuously getting more sales and stuff like that. I think about that because I've seen like some people we brought into the podcast have had great success, but wasn't in the real estate field. It may have been through like something like some type of Instagram influencer or something like that.
And that's what I think is very important to know, who you are and what your temperament and what your personality
Correct.
is.
And that's
because, what are you about to say?
I'm about to say that's another question I actually had, or to identify what is your personality type and does it match what your, like, the vehicle that you're going into as well. So personality and the goals do matter.
100%. And I would say, to be honest, look at your personality type first. Like, yeah, the goal is important, but the goal can be reached with anything.
That's good. Yeah.
The goal can be reached because at the end of the day, the goal is just it's a number.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the root of it is just a number of how many dollars you need on, based off of whatever you're doing. So you can get the dollars from anything. You can go freaking, cut trees and make financial freedom if you want to do that. But what's never going to change is, your personality or your temper. I don't say it's never going to change, but, generally, like, who you are and what kind of aligns best with you. So, for example, I kind of learned just from experience that early on in business, I don't really like people. Like, I don't like dealing with people like that are like consumers, specifically like customers. I don't like dealing with those people. I hate it. That's like the aspect of business that gives me the most agony, because it's just very like, just, I don't know, people just annoy me because people are gonna be people. and that was like something I know my temperament is not like suited for. So if you know things like that about yourself, like if you know that generally you are a people person, you really like people and you don't really like, dealing with certain things like for me, for example, the reason this is important is because, like you said, a lot of people, that you can become an influencer and that all those things, which to me, that's a job. I don't necessarily look at that as financial freedom. That's just another way to make money. Like, there's people that are, we've brought on a podcast. There's people that sell courses, do these things. All that is a job. It can become a business, but for the most part, if it's attached to your personal likeness,
having to continue to show up.
Yeah, and you have to like show your face. It's a job. Like, you have to create content. Like, that's a job. I don't care how you slice it or cut it. It's a job. I personally don't ever want to do that. So I'm never going to post. I knew that for me, posting content on social media and stuff like that, that's not a sustainable thing. Maybe I do it for a couple months to whatever, see how it is, whatever. But that's not something that
if I ever don't want to post, does that mean that my income is going to be affected?
Yeah, and it will be.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and there's many times where I don't want to post on social media.
Facts.
I don't want to. I don't want to have to create content. It's not something I want to do. I don't want to have my income tied to my image. So, and I know there's a lot of people out, because I would say that's the most common person listening. Most people listening are not influencers. Most people listening are not going to want to be posting on social media. So for most people, just like me, it's like figure out what business or what asset class you fits best with your temperament. Not, because it's easy to get on social media and see these people selling courses and stuff like that and think like, you want to do that. First of all, you should have expertise to some degree before you're doing that. Like, coaching and selling courses, you need to know what you're doing. So if you haven't already built a business, that's not going to be practical for you anyway.
Facts.
So a lot of people just try to cut straight to that, like courses stuff immediately after, like, barely doing anything, which, do your own thing, whatever. But I would say that most people aren't going to want to do that. So what business is going to, like real estate, for example, real estate, we can compare that to the stock market, right? And you can look at both of those as like two ways to make income that is going to be residual income or quote unquote quasi passive income, right? If I have a rental property and I have someone renting there, they pay rent and I collect the cash flow, which is the difference between the income and the expenses. And if I get enough of those units, I can have financial freedom, right? So that's one way. Real estate, if you look at stocks, hey, I can get enough dividend paying stocks, meaning if I own stocks that pay me for owning them, eventually I can own enough stocks to where, I will have enough residual income to where I don't have to work. That's another way to get financial freedom. Understand there's different things that come with both of these things, right? With real estate, you're going to have to deal with a lot of people, tenants, all these things. You're going to have to deal with contractors, lenders, all these different, companies and banks and things like that. That's one thing. With stocks, all you got to have is capital. All you got to have is money. So if you have money to put into the stock market, then hey, that's why I think this is an important conversation, because some people complicate this. They complicate the financial freedom thing about what they should pick, when in reality it's just knowing what best fits your temperament and your personality, right? If you are someone that doesn't like dealing with people, put your money in the stock market and buy dividend paying stocks, right? Now, if you are someone that doesn't have money, now you don't get to pick and choose which ones you want to do, because if you don't, beggars can't be choosers. Right? At the end of the day, if you don't have money, you have to sacrifice your time, right? To some degree early on, right? Because you need something to get financial freedom. You're going to have something. You're going to either have to have money or you're going to have time.
Yep.
Right. And if you don't have money, then you have to have the time. And if you have the time, that means you need to get the knowledge. And if you get the knowledge, then you're able to, do things to where you can buy businesses or buy real estate or get investments with very little to none of your own money. So it's always a give and take in this. You're always going to have to exert some sort of capital, whether that's going to be mental capital or financial capital. There's always going to be some sort of capital that you have to exert to get financial freedom. And I think that's what people got to understand. So now if like, okay, my temperament is best suited for something that is, that doesn't involve people, or something that, does involve people, then now you can choose based off of now your financial situation,
right?
Which way you can go. And that's what it really is you're narrowing it down practically based off of your personality and then your financial situation. And that's personally how I would initially say to look at it.
Yeah, and I think because I keep on trying to figure out like what's the best question to ask to get started. I know we talk about the goal part. I'm talking about after that, because I think of one thing that we need to identify was what those different financial freedom vehicles are. So like the coaching and consulting, like you mentioned, that's not even really going to be in that conversation, because it's not what we know what financial freedom by definition is. You're not trading in your time for the money.
Yeah.
So what can get me there? I think so. You mentioned the financial markets like the stock market, you mentioned real estate, and businesses can also get you there as well, but it has to be built to that point or has to be acquired. So I think once you see all those once you know your options, now you can talk about which one best fits your temperament. But even along with that, you may even be able to answer the question of, if this one doesn't fit my temperament initially, like, so let's take your example with marketing, cleaning business, with in regards to handling people. Is there a way to where I can make this particular vehicle suit my personality? meaning that I get people who handle the people, or who address the customers to where I don't have to do that. And then, I mean, so now you can compare each individual vehicle and say which one am I willing to do now? Because I can go into the business vehicle and have to know that people are going to be involved, but I just have to build in a system and structure to where I don't have to worry about doing that because that's not my personality. Because it's going to be the same thing with real estate. I can get a property manager in place to where I don't have to worry about the tenants because I just got the property manager. I'm not dealing with the customer because I don't like that. Or I can go to the financial markets where I'm not going to deal with anybody at all.
You just gotta have money.
And right. So I have the same. But because I know my goal is to not deal with people as the example, then am I willing to use that, like go that far within that vehicle to make sure that I can put systems in place to where I can stay with my personality type.
And that's when at that point, that's when you just have to understand what actually that business entails, because then you can know, is this business in general even something I like as far as a business model goes? Because like I learned in my experiences that I didn't like dealing with businesses that had vehicles and businesses that needed, that had unpredictable cash flow. Primarily, it's not necessarily vehicles, it was unpredictable cash flow. And with vehicles became a lot of maintenance, repairs. So it made cash flow very unpredictable. Yes, real estate is like that as well, but it's a lot more manageable, just in the sense of like, I can budget for that. You can budget for it with vehicles and stuff too. You can always budget for it. But at the end of the day, stuff is going to happen a lot more frequently with vehicles than it will with the property. And so your numbers will always be skewed. So that is when I would say having the different expertise and knowledge within the different businesses will be beneficial. And you can only get that by trying.
I was just thinking that too. I'm like, so in the case, so if you have this stuff in mind before you get into the business, now you can go in and be analyzing, because like back when we were doing one business to another,
we didn't know.
You're not thinking like this. But now if you approach a business and know what your goals are in mind, and now you can start actually answering the right questions and seeing is what I'm doing right now going to fit my goal that I have long term, then that's where you can justify your decision making of saying, I'm not doing this business.
Yes.
Or I'm not doing this financial freedom vehicle. I'm gonna pivot to another one because now I see that my boxes are not being checked for this aligning with my goals. And I also was going to add another point to it of, what is the timeline going to be required? Like, what is your timeline for financial freedom? Do you want to achieve it in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? And do you see this vehicle matching that? If you do, because like if you can identify what it takes for you to reach your personal goal, as far as like getting it to where either you achieve financial freedom or whether you are able to get it to where it fits your personality type, can you get it there within your timeline?
Yeah.
Or is another vehicle able to get you there a little bit faster, or get it along your timeline that you're looking for?
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the key thing too, because talking about timelines, this is where it really just comes to like your intangibles, in the sense of like who you are and how you are as a person, right? A lot of it is here, because someone that's very patient and disciplined is they're able to like kind of sit through stuff and even when stuff sucks, they're kind of still able to push through it, right? And I think a lot of people, and I don't want to get this conversation too far off topic or too convoluted, but I think what happens is that many people will try a business and then they will try for 2 months. It doesn't work immediately. They don't see instant money. And it's kind of like, okay, this one is not the one for me.
Yeah, no.
But that's like the only way this conversation works, truly, the only way that what we're talking about truly works, meaning like finding the vehicle that's right for you, the only way you can truly do that is if you really give stuff a good effort for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
Like, we did real estate for 2 years.
Facts.
Before we said, okay, this is not going to work. And then we did the businesses since then,
right?
Pretty much. So, and that was like a good effort. A lot of people would try to find one real estate deal, not be able to get a deal, and realize it doesn't work. We lost a lot of money in real estate before we said, okay, let's. And then we didn't even. By the way, it was never because real estate wouldn't work.
Yeah, right.
It was just because we kind of realized the timeline thing.
Yep, that's why I mentioned it too. Yeah,
it was like the real estate timeline was going to be a lot longer to get financial freedom. It was going to take a lot longer, and we still probably would have got it within our original goals, which was what we had said originally. Which when I said 28 and you said 32, we definitely would have still got that. if we was like 100% focused on real estate, we probably actually would have got that actually already. If we was 100% focused on real estate, didn't do nothing else, definitely, because it would have started compounding. But what we realized was, hey, we can get it faster through business. So that is, but we had already tried real estate for a good period of time. We hadn't just said, oh, a month of real estate, and then you go and get into business.
I'm really thinking back to it now. I'm glad we brought this up. So if we had this mindset back then, we might have considered staying with real estate. So I think the challenges that we were facing, we kept on, like, I think at that moment in time when we were pivoting, like that's when we were doing the most looking around for other stuff. So by us evolving and developing, now we better understand like what's going to match our goals long term anyway. We very well could have considered saying, you know what, shut everything else down, because we already have a strong foundation in real estate and know this can get us to our goals. I know we were doing the flipping at first, and we could have, by locking in on that, because we started actually considering the apartment complexes, which was going to be matched up with our goal anyway of being able to have a passive income. If we just said shut everything else off and let's lock in on this only, but that very well could have got us our same goal even faster and really have the goal of like having the passive level of income that we were looking for.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because we didn't know necessarily that, like, hey, if you focus on something long enough for a long enough time,
that's what I'm saying.
You might just get it. So it's like we were just thinking kind of like, okay, we've been doing this for 2 years, whatever, and it's like still trying to keep flipping houses, and it's kind of like it's getting a little blurry.
Yeah. Especially when something else is in his way.
Yeah, that's the thing, because we started the podcast and we started seeing so many people in business.
Yep.
And it was just kind of like, okay, I can try that. You just got to be real with yourself about the effort that you're giving, like for what it is. Like, do you truly feel like you gave it a good effort in what you tried? Like, be honest with yourself. Like, yo, if you tried trading options for 6 months and you lost all your money, do you think that was a good effort? And when you understand that, like, this is something that generally takes years to become good at.
I'm looking at myself in disgust right now. I'm looking at 2 years ago, be like, you ain't giving no effort into that to say that you validated that you can quit. I don't think, to be honest, if I was honest with myself, I would not say that I don't think I gave enough effort.
For what?
For the real estate spot.
Real estate
in particular. Because I said, bro, if we because we had 3 of us for one. We had me, you, and then the guy in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Bro, come on. I always think about that. Like, if we lock in on anything, but we are firing like on all cylinders, man,
it would be a well-oiled machine.
Oh my goodness! Just applying that same. So that's why you say be real with yourself. Because if I'm real myself, man, I was giving like.
But
5%.
That's because like I know everybody we had different things. You was in school.
Yeah.
I had started my other business. And it was kind of like. We was never all 100% locked in.
Yep.
Like on it as like much we should. If we really, really, really was locked in.
Because I think I reflect on how I am today with business, with the rental car business. Because my thing is that we already had a head start.
Yeah.
And we already had some successful deals that came in, and that was with one guy giving like all day effort, us giving like half or less, me giving like 10, so if put all 100% for all 3, man, that really made me think now. Like I'm really reflecting on that, because I think that very well, because like I said, the reason I'm reflecting like that is because these are all the financial freedom vehicles we're talking about. So we choose one based on like what you think is going to get you there the fastest, not really understanding anything else at the time. That's kind of what we did.
Yeah.
Like we didn't understand the personality part, or what does it take to get to that level to where it's going to give you financial freedom.
We didn't understand the actual part that like, hey, it actually takes time.
Yeah.
Like it actually takes time. Like, cause we had it in our head that it was like, yeah, this should be a few years and you get it. But it's like, yo, this actually takes time with 100% effort.
Yes. That's it.
It takes 100% effort from everybody. Like, 100% effort and time is the key to get, like, if you're not, here's the thing, because it's like it's and that's why it's so tough, because like you don't know what you don't know. So it's kind of like we're just doing, it's like, yeah, we think we're putting in effort, but it's like when you're doing all these different things, you're not 100% in it. And this is why it's so important that we talk about like, yo, this is why we're having this conversation about picking something. And you can hear what we never said. It was like, yo, just do them all at the same time. You can have multiple streams of income. We never said that. If you listen to our earlier episodes, we were saying that nonsense. But we'll never tell you that today because we did that. And I was like, that's why we can sit here and say that. Like, that's not the thing to do because it takes 100% effort for a set number of years. Like, it's kind of like, I look at it as like the force equation. Force is equal to mass times acceleration. And it's like that force, which is financial freedom, F, you have to have a mass. And you have to add acceleration. I look at it as like the acceleration is the time and the mass is the energy. Right. So it's like you have to have both of those combined to really get you that financial freedom. And if you're not,
you said the acceleration is the time and mass is the. So I'm gonna keep on that analogy. The more mass I put in, the faster I get to that F is financial freedom. Yep. If my mass is just 0.10% or 0.1%, then the time can stay the same. Yeah. Like now you need more matter. Actually, so if you have the force, I don't know why I want to go on this tangent. I done geeked out.
They ain't gonna even know what you're talking about.
I know, right? So financial freedom is a number. That's the key thing. So that just means that you need two things in order to get there. You need to have energy and you need to have time. Yeah. And so that means the more energy I give, the less time it may take. Right. And then vice versa. The less energy I give, the more time it's going to take. So we were at 2 years. That's giving 10% energy, 50% energy. If we lock in and just say 100% energy on this one thing, financial freedom, the end goal gets achieved faster.
That's a great analogy because that's really what it is. Like, if you give, I would say that's why it's so important to give 100% because you're able to get more things. You can try more things. Yeah. When you gave 100% successfully, like 100% 6 months is better than 30% for a year.
Exactly.
100% 6 months. See how it goes for you. Mm-hmm. And I would honestly say you're probably even still selling yourself short there. I would say 100% for a year. Yeah. On one thing. See how it goes. 100%. If you can give 100%, try one thing. And this is where it's like, now you can pick whatever. Just pick whatever. Try one thing that you think you might be interested in for 1 year. Give it 100% effort. Not 50%, not 30%, 100% effort. If you have a job, that's fine. But like after you get off of work, you should be pounding the pavement, like working on that thing. Like that's the key here. You can't be saying, okay, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this at the same time. Nope. You already messed up. That your data's already skewed because you don't know and that's why it sucks because it's like with real estate, now that we're really having this conversation, if we really, because I think we gave our 50% effort was good. Better than most people's 100%.
That's our gift. Our 50% is a lot of people's 80 to 100% for sure. So that's why I'm adamant. Like, yo, 3 of
yeah. We had 3 people, and if we all put,
oh my god. With all of our drives,
500 units already.
With all of our drives at 100%.
Come on now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So it's like, that's why it's kind of like real estate. It's unfortunate that was the first thing that we tried because that's kind of like, you didn't know what we didn't know. Mm-hmm. So who knows, had we gave that real estate 100% effort for that 3-year period up until even freaking last year, it would be, who knows where it would be. Probably would still be in real estate right now.
Most definitely, I think so. But I don't want to make it all about real estate. But this is my whole point that I was trying to make with all of that. We identified the financial freedom vehicle. So there was real estate, there's business, money markets. Now you can identify which one you want to lock in on, but that should be in line with what your goals are. And then what's your goals for financial freedom? Can that get you there? And within that frame of time that you want to achieve it for? Yeah. These can all achieve you financial freedom. Which one is going to be the most feasible for you on your timeline? Do you want to achieve it in 10 years? If that's the case, then identify if we're building a business, and me getting 100% effort in building a business, is that going to get me there in 10 years? Same thing if I'm investing in real estate. How many units will it take for me to get to financial freedom within that 10-year timeline? Is that feasible for me? Same thing with the stock market. If I just do passive investments into the stock market, was that going to get me there? Or do I need to do something else like options trading, for instance, that's going to get me there faster? like just understanding what those different vehicles are, and then backtracking to say, are these going to help me achieve my timeline? And use other people as the examples. So figure out like, and these are not, but now you're creating your question that you can be answering them. Like how much time and energy was put into this? And are you, and really identify where they are today, and is that in line with where you want to be? Like as far as their lifestyle, not just the money they're bringing in, because you can bring in money from anywhere. The money, like money can come in from real estate, money can come in from business, money can come in from financial markets. Money is just money. Like there's just a number. So you have to identify, is their lifestyle that they're able to live? Like, do they have to, are they having to show up on social media as an example? We talk about social media influencers earlier. That may not be the lifestyle you want to live. So are they making money from showing up on social media, or are they making money outside of there? If they're able to live a certain lifestyle outside of there, then that means that might be in line with me if my goal is the time freedom piece. And they get to choose what they want to do, which is like show up on social media to show other people how to do it too. Yeah,
that's real. And I think the value in having this conversation is that you're able to think about this before trying it. Because with a lot of people, they've put themselves in things where, like, you know, they found success in something, and because it's like they didn't try other things, or because it was like they thought this is what they wanted at one point, they're kind of locked into it now. Like they have to do it now because it's successful, and it's like this is what makes them money, and it's like their livelihood now.
Right.
So unless they like stopped or like did something else, so it's kind of like, at least having this, a lot of times people don't have this conversation or these thoughts beforehand, thinking about things like the lifestyle, right? You're not thinking about things about like, what is this, even if I'm making the money, what is going to require of me? What am I going to have to do like regularly to be able to maintain this? And that, again, it's important it goes back to knowing what you like and what you don't like and who you are as a person. But if you have this conversation, at least now you can think of these things beforehand and pick something to where, okay, if I focus on this and I become successful at it, at least it was something I thought of that, okay, cool, I can do this. It's something where like, you know, I didn't lock myself into or pigeonhole myself into something where like now I have to do something I don't want to do. Right. Because I became successful at it and now I'm trapped in it. There's a lot of people that are stuck posting on social media.
That's really why I keep on mentioning it too, because like the groups that I'm in, a lot of people will say things like, I don't want to post on social media. Don't. Like big time don't. That means that you know what your goals are. You know that's not in line with how you want to be. You don't have to make money that way. That's why. So a lot of people think that, well, based on who you're listening to, they may tell you that to get over it because that's what they do. But they have a target audience too. So you need to figure out who has your target message that you need to be listening to. Like everybody is going to make money their own way. So who is making money best in line with your goals? So who's achieved financial freedom based on the goals that you set for yourself? And if they're telling you to do things that you don't want to do, then that may mean that may not be the vehicle for you.
Right. And that's why I think that it's going to be very, 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 very key to really, really think about this and apply what we're saying to. The biggest thing here is really just, because I know this is all very theoretical stuff. There's no like practical application for the most part, but like really take into account what we're saying and consider it in the sense that whatever you do end up picking could be the thing that does get you financial freedom. And so I guarantee if you gave 100% effort to something for a year, you will see success in it. And if it's the first thing you're doing, I would hope at least it's a thing that's like aligned with who you are and what you actually want out of your life and lifestyle, right? Because I guarantee you 100% effort for a year, you will see some success. And if you start seeing some success, you'll be motivated to continue to do it.
Facts.
And then now that's when you really get stuck into the thing. So that's why this is an important conversation, because you don't want to get put into something that's not aligned with who you are. So that's kind of like my last takeaway with this.
Yeah, that's very similar for me, because I love when you said like lock in for 1 year on something, because that's what we did with the rental car business. We had started with one car back in January of 2021. And I set a goal of saying we're locking in on just rental cars just for 1 year. By the end of this year, I want to at least have 10 cars. By locking in, I saw that we had 10 cars by September. And so that told me like, yo, we lock in on it. Now we'll start seeing the results. And so now like you said, now you'll be able to reevaluate. Do I want to lock in for another year? Because now I see the results of me locking in. let's see if I do it again, if I double down on that, or actually do a whole self-assessment. Did I like what I had to go through? Or do I see myself being able to continue on? Am I still on my timeline that I originally thought was going to be possible? Or should I pivot now? I saw, no, we can really lock in on this. Like, I see the steps that are required, and now let's get to that next level to where it can get us the financial freedom that we want to, because it can definitely get us there. It just takes the second level of lock-in for us at this point.
Yeah. It's kind of like dating, man. That's really what it is. It's like you date these different things you're dating. It's like, yo, I'm gonna date you for a year, and I'm gonna reevaluate to see. It's like, yo, is your lifestyle kind of aligned with what I want? Are you aligned with what I want? And if not, dump them and move on. Don't waste none of your time. Like, let's keep it 100. Like, because at the end of the day, it's like, this is time. We're talking about time. Yeah. Even with the business, it's like, if you do something for a year, you will know if you truly want to do this again for another year. After giving it 100% effort for a year and you see results or not, you will know. Even if you had success, the way the success came, you might be like, dang, I don't want to do this. So it's exactly. Like you in the same way, it's like, yo, you date a girl and you realize like, yo, I really don't want to do this with you. You cool and all, you very attractive, but you just not, it's not gonna work. Mm-hmm. And you don't waste any more of your time. And that's the same exact thing. So these things are just important so that you don't waste time. Because look, we're all about financial freedom as fast as possible, as quickly as possible. Like, we're not talking about, the whole point is to not retire at 65. We want to do it early, at an early age. So you don't want to waste time. It's like, yo, I was about to say something, but I'm not gonna say that. Maybe next episode. But yeah, that's kind of I think the most important thing that we want to talk about. So what we'll do now is transition to our next segment, which will just be our Ask the Monopolizers segment, and we'll kind of wrap up the show with that.
How can I be successful? How can I follow the path that someone else has laid for me to be successful?
Ask the Monopolizers.
Yes, sir. All right, cool. So I'm only going to do one question today. It's from Mr. Bouncy41. He says, I just laughed at this one. Why do so many people hate the rich instead of learn from them? What do you think?
No, besides them just being ignorant.
Because I really want to hear what you think because of all the people you see in your comment section.
Read the question again.
Why do so many people hate the rich instead of learn from them?
Man, that is a great question. I love that question, actually. Why do people hate the rich instead of learning from them? Man, where do I even want to start?
I thought it was really good.
Because here's the thing with this. Like, everyone has their own worldview, right? Every single person has a worldview. We have a worldview, which is why we're doing this podcast, right? Because we're projecting our worldview onto the world.
Yes, sir.
We think the world should be a certain way, right? We think people shouldn't work until they're 65, right? Not because we think that, they're better than anyone. We just think people, why don't you want to enjoy life?
Right.
Like, don't you want to be able to do what you want? Like, that's our worldview. Every single person has a worldview. That's why we talk and communicate the way we do. Everyone has one. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people, many people, their worldview is from a very, very, very scarce or poverty type of mindset, or lack of abundance type of mindset, to where they think that because someone else has, someone else doesn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And so because you have, that means you're taking away from someone else, and someone else is not able to, everyone, they pretty much see it as everyone cannot have.
Right. Yep.
Everyone is not able to live like that. There's only a few people can. And if you are, that means someone else is not able to. Right. So to me, when I see people that say that and they're approaching it as like, people that hate capitalism and, they're all about, taxing the rich, all that, whatever. I don't even want to get into the politics, but generally it's that same type of ideology or person that, says these things about rich people. Now, their whole thing is because that's their worldview. They're like, you talk about learning from them. They can't even fathom that, because it's like the way they see the world is, I don't want to be someone that takes, number one, first of all, I think it's a lot of things. Number one, I don't want to be someone that takes from other people. And because they already know that everybody can't have. So it's like, I don't want to be one of those people. I think those people are evil. So they don't want to be one of those people. So they're not even open to learning. That's number one, right off the bat. So they're not even open to learning from you. Secondly, a lot of these people, and I think this is more thing, because if we keeping it 100, most people, if you gave them the opportunity to be rich, if they say, hey, you can be rich, if there was an angel that came down and said, yeah, you could be rich or you could be poor, there was still 99% of people are still gonna pick being rich. They still gonna pick being rich. But the problem is, a lot of these people know deep down, it's like, yo, these people probably had to work and sacrifice so much to be able to get that. And I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to put in that amount of effort and that work on one thing like that. I would rather, I'm able to go to bed at night knowing that, hey, I can't do that. It's not even a possible thing for me, versus me knowing that if I actually put in effort, I could possibly do that. That's where I think a lot of the disconnect is, because let's keep it 100. Most people would pick to be rich, but they know, deep down that there's that disconnect there. So, no, that's just very surface level thoughts. I could go deeper and deeper, but I want you to kind of give your take.
No, so that was an interesting takes right there. I'm glad we answered this question, or answering this question right here, because this is a good one. So the one thing I will disagree with actually is that they know you saying that the people who are poor know how much work the rich had to put in to get there. I'm gonna disagree, only because I think that there's a misconception that people were born rich. For a lot of people who are not rich, because they's like, yo, how lucky are you to be able to have all that? Like they envy you because they feel like you got it easy. Like you already have everything, so you should be willing just to give, to me, honestly, because like, I think there's a misconception that you're just born that way. Because I've heard many cases where you people will say something like, everybody's not born with a silver spoon in their mouth, and things like that. And so, like, little sayings like that, these are like foundational teachings that you are hearing growing up, that's catering your view toward, like, tailoring your worldview a certain way. So your worldview is that some people are just born into it and some other people aren't. I think that's one of the major reasons that we started bringing on guests on this show, is because we're showing you, we're dispelling that myth that you have to be born rich to be rich. We're showing you examples of people who got it from day one out the mud and figured out how to build wealth for themselves. Because that example isn't shown enough. People are just thinking that people are like, the wealthy people are just born into it. Like the Trump family, they're just born into it. And that's how people would feel like. They just like, the people that are at a certain level today, I can't get there because I wasn't born there. So I think that they are now just envious, and that envy is used as hate, instead of, you know what, there is a way for me to get there. Because if they don't believe there is a way, now I'm just mad at you because I can't ever get it. But if I do believe there is a true way, that's the key thing, is that there's no belief system in them that they can actually obtain it. So the people who are poor and are going to stay poor is people who don't believe that they can achieve wealth. The people who do believe that they can achieve wealth might actually humble themselves enough to say, you know what, all I need is the right information to get there. And so if I know that there is a way for me to get there because somebody else is there before or has gotten there before, I'll humble myself to do it. But if I don't believe there's a way, I'm going to just hate you because I just feel like you got something that I can never get.
So let me ask, if they believe that there's a way, because that's interesting. I don't know how many people actually believe the thing about people being born rich, because obviously there's people that are born rich, but for the most part, I'm never even talking about those situations. Like when I talk about getting rich or being rich, it's never about being born into wealth or anything like that. We're talking about getting it from nothing and becoming wealthy. So generally, it's like, if those people know, because you said that these people, because they think that, you know, they're people are born wealthy, that they can't get it themselves. If they know that people can get it, why do they think that everybody's born wealthy then? If they know that people can't get it.
And so I'll take it to this stand,
because that's why I would disagree with that point that everybody thinks that people are born into wealthy.
I think it's two things, Dan. So first off, that was one, was they think that people are born there, and if they're not born there, they think, like going to your point, it's like you take advantage of people who are poor. Like, so people say take from like the poor, like the money is flowing from poor to rich. It's like what a lot of people will hear. So then like, y'all just taking from us. So y'all build stuff and now y'all just capitalize off of that. Yeah. That's the capitalist perspective. So I think now going back to the point of how people believe that they can achieve wealth for themselves. if you look into like a poverty community, or like I'm not even poverty community. Let's say if I went into a community that's like, I'll take my inner city Detroit for instance.
The hood.
That's fine. If we go into the hood, more times than not, if I ask somebody, how could you make a lot of money? What are they going to say? It's going to be, I'm working to become an athlete, to NBA player, NFL player. I'm working to hit the lottery. Some people may say, or like, if I'm gonna achieve a lot of money, how would you do that? Lottery, drug dealer, rapper, or athlete. That's my strategies. Nobody even knows that the wealthy 1% are doing it through running a business or building a business.
So
or if they do know, they don't think that that's possible for them.
So I think that's why we're talking about two different people, even within this question.
Possibly, yeah.
Because the thing is that,
because I think these are people who hate the rich, to be honest.
Yeah. So there's people that. This is why this is such an interesting conversation, because there's people that understand that like you can become wealthy, but they still hate the rich.
And those people, you're just, like they don't. Now it goes to your point. Then they just don't want to do the work. Like, or I think if you know that you can do it, and you know it's obtainable for you, and you still hate somebody who got it, I don't understand that at that point.
So you're saying that you think that most people believe that they can. What is the number one reason people believe that they can become wealthy?
That they can or cannot.
Cannot. Like what? Like would you say that more people would say that? Like if they say they can't become wealthy, why would they say that they can't become wealthy?
Can't or cannot?
Cannot.
Okay. Why would people say they cannot become wealthy?
Yeah. If the number one reason, just one reason.
It's going to be through some misconception. I can't tell you the number one. I'm going to assume because I wasn't born into it. That would be my number. So that's where my answer is going to come from too. Right.
Okay. So that's quite that. Now I'm understanding the basis of your answer, because you're speaking from the perspective of those people that think that they can only become wealthy through inheriting wealth. Yep. Right. And as a trust, it just coming into wealth. Right.
Because
I was speaking from the perspective of like people that understand as like, hey, because to me, it's like so much information out there where you see people that are doing this. And that's why it's like, that's where there's a disconnect. Because I know you believe that like these people aren't seeing this stuff. Look, it's 2020. You're seeing this stuff. It's so many podcasts. There's so many things out there. And I'm not even talking about business, finance. I'm just saying you're literally seeing rappers, athletes, all people are talking about people that are doing this all over. This is that's why entrepreneurship is mainstream now, because people understand that like, hey, you can like actually make money without having to just work a job. Like it became an actual thing because people have seen other people do it. So that has fostered
the belief. Now, because it's becoming mainstream today is a result of like the belief starting to be there. And so now you may see less of what you saw before of people that don't believe, and people who are hate. You may see less people that hate the rich now, and more people that are willing to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
Versus before entrepreneurship becomes mainstream, it may be a case of, I don't believe it's possible. Like there is no evidence. Like so that's why I was saying earlier about the rappers, the athletes, stuff like that. That's the only example that we saw of somebody that looks like me that's able to become rich.
Yeah, and today that's not the case.
Today it's not the case. So now it's maybe less of that, but I still think the people who are saying it or who are saying those things are like, I hate the rich, or if there's anybody who does hate the rich, I still think things because they had that limited belief of it's not possible for me. Not so much so because of they did too much work and I don't want to do it.
I think it's the latter personally, just because I just know people see that people are becoming wealthy and people are seeing it, but they still hate them. It's not like, because people know that like people will look at Jeff Bezos' story and think that like, yeah, he got a loan from his parents or people gave him money. That doesn't mean he was wealthy. He was not wealthy. Like he was in a situation, he was middle class, upper middle class, whatever. So they'll look at that as like, oh, I had to have that exact circumstance. Now, if you're looking at that, then it's like, bro, use nuance. So to me, I'm not even looking at you. I'm generally looking at the people that are like, because most people are on social media. Most people are on like, we're talking about like younger. I'm not talking about old people. We're talking about younger people here, like people that are like our age and, within our age range and stuff like that. Like they know, generally these people know that like, hey, you can make money out here, but they just think that like it's either evil or it's like, yo, that's too much effort to do that. I'm not doing all that. But that's just my perspective.
I mean, you got two answers, Mr. Bouncy. You got two totally, and either one could be have some truth to it. Just depending on that person, because some people, like he said, have been exposed, and I feel like, and I think some people haven't been exposed to being able to actually know that they can achieve wealth. So depending on that person, that may dictate why they hate the wealthy, why they hate the people who are rich versus the other side. So. Great question, though. I think that was a good conversation.
Yeah, it's a great question. Great question. So yeah, but I think that's really all we had for this segment, and really that's about it for the podcast as well this week. So I think it was a great, insightful topic, overall, and also I hope there's something people take away from this. If there isn't, go ahead and listen to it again. Because you obviously weren't listening. You were doing something else. So listen to it again if you didn't get this message and you were it was just going in one ear and out the other. But yeah, that is it for this episode of the Money Monopolizers podcast. New episodes will be released every Thursday and will be available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Just search Money Monopolizers wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, we'd appreciate if you left us a review on Apple Podcasts. 5-star reviews. Please help us get to 400 reviews. I see some people left a review this past week, so shout out to y'all for that. But yeah, other than that, we'll catch y'all next time.
We're ready.
You've been listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. To learn more about how you can be in control of your money, visit moneymonopolizers.com. We'll catch you next time when Alex and Marlon share more personal finance and wealth creation tips with you. Now it's time to take action.